That is the lowest bar in existence.
Oh.
Triforce of power gonna be mine.
I am the last of an elite group of podcasters. Here you go, Power Rangers are officially the ultimate jobbers.
We have to be on Jaru's side for this, but dumb counter, please, I can't handle it. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Lads Discuss Death Battle. Yes, Death Battle technically isn't back, but what's stopping us from talking? My name's Billy McCarthy, as always, and joined by me is Saber King.
I'm a shark.
And that's just it. No one else I need to bring in. Okay, and...
For 1,000 years I've laid dormant.
Okay, well...
Who has disturbed my slumber?
Okay, and the third person, Jaru J.
Yes, today I'm putting my mouth practically on the microphone to ensure that people can hear me.
Let's be honest here, though. You can at least practice your dope fritting? I was going to say deep throating skills. Instead, I said throat.
You fail.
Yeah, joke failed. Okay, Sean, you can add to the Billy
It
Dumb
wouldn't have been
counter.
that funny even if it hadn't failed. So,
I know. Your comedy needs a little work.
but you know what? You're still funnier than Death Battle. So you have that going for you.
But given how low you talk about that, that doesn't really mean I'm that funny then.
Well, no.
Well, it means you are in between awful and amazing. You don't know where, but you at the very least you have the chance to be amazing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I will neither confirm nor deny exactly where you are on that metric.
Sean, can you add another Bill counter? Can you put Billy offended counter just at the top? I feel like
I'm just gonna put like 12 counters on the screen at all once, all about Billy.
Yeah, like, I'm the only one that gets. I get bullied by my editor.
Well, if you were as cool and hip as me, you wouldn't get bullied.
Or if you were as funny and passionate as me, you wouldn't get bullied.
Oh, come on. British are automatically funnier than Americans. Don't try it, Rich.
Oh,
But anyway, we're discussing Death Battle. So, for this episode, we are going to be discussing... Since Death Battle's going on hiatus, it's ended on a...
For 2 bloody months.
Since it's ended on a... it's halfway through the season already, and we've had a good number of fights that have come out. Well, I say good number... Well, I say a lot of them were enjoyable. Not sure.
On average, I'd say this was a very solid season so far.
But anyway, so we're going to talk about episodes we really enjoyed. I'm going to mostly talk about 2 episodes I specifically enjoyed. And Rich and Jaru are going to say their piece about the season and their favourite episodes. And then we're going to essentially discuss characters we want to see in Death Battle. Not just in this season, but also just over time. Because there's so many characters that have gotten overshadowed by Marvel and DC amount of times. So, I wouldn't mind another character.
Too bad. You're going to get nothing but Marvel and DC characters.
Yep. Can't wait to watch Captain Marvel fight Wonder Woman.
Oh my god, why didn't they do that?
Because they didn't want me to die of toxicity? Like, I don't know.
Alright then, so I will go first since I only have 2 episodes I really want to talk about and why they were my favourites, so that way Rich and Jaru can specifically talk about their points. This will probably be the podcast I talk the least, surprisingly.
Yeah, you say that now.
I say that now, who knows? We British like to go on. I'm going to start with my top favourite of the episode, which this might come as a shock to my fellow Naruto fans. Obi-Wan Kenobi versus Kakashi.
Now that's a name I've not heard in a long time.
Oh god, I know Obi-Wan is the most
I watched
meme.
it today, so I heard it pretty recently.
Yeah.
Okay, I know Obi-Wan is a memeable character, but can we get through one podcast, not just bringing up every single quote of his?
No.
Why, hello there. Just no.
So uncivilized.
Okay, well, we got all these quotes out of the way, so... So, Obi-Wan versus Kakashi. So, going into this first time, I was I kind of already said my piece about what I thought of the matchup itself on the last episode, but I will say it was actually one of those few episodes of Death Battle that is like, oh wow, this is actually kind of a unique one, and realistically, Obi-Wan and Kakashi don't have a whole lot in common. Their powers are in no way similar. In fact, even their personalities are very different.
I don't know.
Nah, I wouldn't say that.
Both that cool-headed, wise mentor kind of figure.
Yeah, and they both are memeable.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, there's not really many characters that read porno while fighting to the death.
Yeah, I mean, I like that their their role in the stories was similar, but their powers were very different, and that's what I like about the matchup.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So, and the thing that really caught me off guard was the fact that it's a Star Wars versus Naruto matchup, which, when many people think of shonen characters, many people just want to pair them up with other shonen characters or other comic book characters similar to them.
Well, we tried that.
Yeah, look how well that.
Can't wait for Wonder Woman to come back.
I was thinking like, if there was one character I thought at the top of my head that Kakashi could fight, weirdly enough, it was going to be Ryu, not Ryu from Street Fighter, but Ryu from Ninja Gaiden. Is that how you pronounce it?
That's a name I haven't heard in a long time.
Yeah, right. And it was such a good fight when he was last in Death Battle.
Hey, I thought that fight was pretty badass.
Last time he was in Death Battle, yeah, it was badass.
Yeah, it was. That, if every ending had a death that cool, then every Death Battle would be a minimum of a 7 out of 10.
Exactly.
So that's the matchup I would have thought Kakashi was going to face up against. I never realized Obi-Wan was such a highly requested matchup for him.
Yeah, me neither.
So when the episode came out, I was a bit butthurt at first. I can't deny it. It was sad seeing Naruto suffer another loss.
Another loss?
All right.
What? You got a win last time.
Yeah, but we lost Gaara and Sasuke.
Whoa.
Oh, who gives a shit about
I give a shit. Those two are awesome.
I do not care.
Well, it's good to know you guys think my opinion's invalid and my feelings don't matter.
Look, Blonde Jesus and Bruce Lee got their wins. Take what you can get.
Yeah, right.
Sean, add to the broken heart bill counter.
Stop having him add Okay. Every time you say add a new counter, I'm just going to tell him not to do it.
Actually, the only counter that should be in this video is the times that Billy asks for a counter.
What idea was this?
Hey, I'm trying to get rid of the Bill Dumb counter, alright? I'm sick of seeing that.
Nope, too bad. That's staying.
Alright, so continue talking about the match.
So, after I got through my butthurtness and went to bed crying, played a bit of a Naruto fighting game, I figured out, let me actually watch this for the podcast. It was an enjoyable fight. The analysis was pretty funny and it was fair to the two. I know a lot of people, not as much as it's seen in the comments, but a lot of like Death Battle critics, quote unquote, like to say they underestimated Kakashi. They said, oh, they didn't use his full power. They didn't give him the freaking spirit thing, whatever. I don't give a shit.
I'm pretty sure they would have said that no matter who he was fighting.
Exactly.
Funny enough, those critics always ignore that bit in all the videos I've seen. Bit weird.
Yeah, because they're assholes.
Well, let's not paint with such a broad brush.
Well, not personally, but just they're just assholes.
It's fine to be critical of Death Battle. Let's be fair.
Okay, yeah, I should make that clear. I'm not saying if you give Death Battle fair criticism, you give them advice on how to improve episodes, that's fine. If it's destructive criticism where you're just out of your way trying to say you guys should hire
You're an asshole.
you guys should hire me to do your research and just me, and you should pay me double what you pay your researchers. Someone actually did say that. I'm not going to name names, but you are an asshole for saying that.
How about we stop talking about other people and just talk about the Death Battle?
So, okay, well, my point is, like, as someone who is a big Naruto fan and a big Kakashi fan, I did not feel he was underwhelmed. Even, here's the thing, I barely know anything about Obi-Wan, aside what I saw in the Death Battle, and, of course, the movies. Aside that, I barely know anything that would mean he's any more powerful than any Naruto character. So if I just had to go by what I know of Obi-Wan and just the Death Battle thing, yeah, I'd say Kakashi can't win. I mean, for one, he can fight on par with Anakin Skywalker, and that guy's OP.
Yeah.
Like, in fact, the thing that's even kind of scary is the fact Anakin's more powerful than Darth Vader. And if you've read the Darth Vader comic books, ooh, that guy is... Let's just say when Darth Vader's angry, Vegeta better run. That's all I'm saying. So the idea Anakin's more powerful than that, at that point I'm like, yeah, I can see why Obi-Wan would beat Kakashi. And the animation was absolutely fantastic. Like, the Darth Vader transition, like, wow, that was so cool. And it was such a smooth transition as well. I will admit, though, the way Darth Vader moved like Kakashi did throw me off a bit when I was rewatching it lately. It's like, yeah, I don't think...
I think it was sick.
Yeah,
I don't think Darth Vader would move like that, but again, this is Kakashi.
You're trying to find flaws.
I'm not trying to find flaws. I'm not a douchebag like that. Like,
I don't have to be.
I mean, if that was the only flaw I could give it, that's pretty much it. That's why I consider this episode to be the best so far. It's a full-on 11 out of 10.
Oh, that's a bit much.
Okay, so I try and be nice to it. I get criticised. Alright, I'll criticise it a little bit. I get criticised. Make up your fucking mind, you bloody bastards!
Well, you know, it's not Jesus come again. It's a great match. It's just... There's a balance, okay?
Yeah, look,
It's a 10 out of 10. Let's just leave it at that.
It's a masterpiece. It's not a fucking it's not the fucking whatchamacallit. Oh yeah, it's not the Ark of the Covenant, okay?
But the other episode I kind of wanted to talk about, and this might come through as a bit of a hot take for some people, Genos versus War Machine.
Oh, that happened?
I don't recall this fight. What are you talking about?
Yeah, exactly.
This is,
Sure, you must be talking about one of those other versus shows.
there's no other verse show. It's done War Machine versus Genos.
Yeah, there is.
No, I'm sure there is.
Name me two.
I'll name you one. Whichever one you're referencing.
Death Battle.
Oh, I don't think they did that. They wouldn't do such a stupid matchup.
That sounds like a woman in melee matchup to me.
Yeah, agreed. Maybe it was DBX. You know what? It was probably DBX.
Yeah, probably.
So while these guys be butter blowing babies,
That didn't make sense.
so
Continue.
you guys are really trying to not let me talk about this episode in a positive light, aren't you?
Talk about it. Talk about it.
Okay,
Go.
so before talking about this, I do have to say I finally watched One Punch Man, guys,
Finally.
and
Yeah, finally.
yeah, I have to admit I am kind of sad now that Genos lost that death battle, because when I watched this episode at first, I only cared about War Machine because from the movies, but they didn't use the movie one; they used the comic one, who's a bit of a dickhead, to say the least. So when I finally did watch One Punch Man, I was just thinking to myself like, wow, Genos is such a nice character. And then when I rewatched some of the death battles, I was just like, oh, I can't see him die now. That's heart wrenching. He even dies like how Papyrus dies in a way.
Yep.
Like, oh man. So, but despite that though, I do think like I'm probably giving more respect to this episode. I'm going to be a bit serious. The animators behind this in the Rooster Teeth department, for those who don't know, the animators behind this have worked on Camp, which is more of a comedy show than it is like an action show. They've had some sections where they had like a little fisticuffs, but they mostly just focused on the comedy aspects. Like they don't work on Ruby, they don't work on Red versus Blue, they don't work on any verse stuff. So to get out of their comfort zone and for the first time have a go at doing their own little anime style fight, if I had to be objective about it, it's not a great animated fight. But if I was looking at it like, oh, this is their first time doing like an anime style fight, I have to give mad props because as someone who tried to get into animation, including hand-drawn animation, it's not easy.
Nope.
It is exhausting. It requires a lot of motivation, especially just to do like 30 frames of the fight. That doesn't look like crap.
Well, try doing one frame. That takes hours.
That's what I'm saying.
Weeks.
I tried to do like when I was used to do my show Crossover Clash. If viewers who didn't know that, I tried to at one point try and incorporate hand-drawn elements. That was not easy. I fucking hated that to the point I was like, you know what, fuck this. I'm going to playing video games. So when I look at this episode like that, the reason I kind of respect it more than some of the other death battles is because I was viewing essentially what is their first time doing an animated fight. Now I know they did Deadpool vs. The Mask, But I feel like the animes didn't get a chance to shine, really, because they wanted to do so much of the sketches, the comedy, the live action section. I felt like the animes didn't get the chance to just fully show their capabilities. Like,
Never do Fortnite jokes again, Death Battle.
like, I mean, I can't imagine. Don't worry about it. I can't imagine what that must be like. You know, you get asked to do an episode, but then it's like, okay, well, you're doing only 20% of the fight, and then we're just going to have skits for a majority of it. At that point, what's the point of even bringing them on? So, now that they got...
talking about Genos versus War Machine?
Yeah, so I know I'm going off a bit, but I'm trying to essentially give my certain subject on like why I like Genos versus War Machine as much, because the animators finally got a chance to do a full episode with no interrupted sketches, just, hey, let's just have an anime character fight a comic book character. And for what they brought in, it was entertaining. Both characters got to show their capabilities. The death, as sad as it was pretty epic. Genos screaming, "I'm taking you with me!" Like, I have to admit, I'm a bit soft for characters that try and take down their opponents with them in like an epic glory. It's a shame it didn't work out. It barely dented War Machine's armor. And then Genos got stomped on. So, I'd probably rank this...
Are you suggesting that this is, like, better than most of the other matches in this season?
I would say it's in third place. I would say Goro versus Machamp is better than it, though. But the reason I don't want to talk about that one is because I feel like the animators behind this episode didn't get as much credit as they deserved, you know. People expected God
I can
tier.
respect that.
People expected God tier. And as someone who's got brought into a new team once in school, and they expected perfection out of my team, especially me, who's... I'm not going to give the full story on that. It's a story for another time. But they expected me to give my all or better, but I was not experienced in that area, and I only had a limited time to do it. Whereas these guys, you know, they were given, all right, guys, we're going to let you control this episode. You do what you want. And, you know, I have to say, they do deserve more love for this episode, and I'm hoping people who watch this and see my point of this episode, hopefully will give the animators of this episode more love. I do think it deserves it, and I do want to see these guys get brought back for more hand-drawn death battles. I feel like, similar to Blind Ferret, these guys do have some mad talents. You know, respect to you guys. That's all I've got to say of the two episodes I really enjoyed, so... Richard, you take it away while I drink a banana milkshake.
Why does everyone forget Nomad of Nowhere existed? Thanks, Billy.
Because I didn't watch it. Like,
So true. So true.
Well,
Anyway,
funny you say that. I actually did watch the first season because it was on the animated channel, so fuck you.
Well, then why didn't you bring it up? Anyway.
Because I don't like it.
Another dumb counter. Anyway, yeah. So far this season, it's been pretty. It's been all right. I think it has. It's definitely an improvement over last season and the season before that. Favorite matchups, obviously, Obi-Wan Kenobi versus Kakashi, because it's just everything I wanted it to be, and there was just so much put into this one episode. Like, I've watched it maybe close to 50 times, and every time I've watched it, I cannot for the life of me find anything to complain or nitpick about. It's generally amazing, and now I posted this on Twitter. It is now the first episode of season 7 to break 3 million views. So that means, you know, going by what the fans and the butthurt haters and just the algorithm, this is probably the best episode of season 7. And
I agree.
Second favorite episode, it's hands down Jason versus Leo, because it was just a total nostalgia trip.
it was even better watching it a second time.
It definitely, as a Danny Phantom fan, I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Wait, what?
We're talking about
Jason versus Leo, not Danny Phantom versus Jake Long.
Oh,
Listen.
sorry, your microphone cut out for me. Oh god, I hope that didn't mess up in the recording.
It's okay.
I thought I heard Danny, and then I was like, okay, I know what he was gonna say, so I'll just pretend I heard.
No, it's okay.
Okay, sure. Don't add a dumb counter. All right, I misheard.
Yeah. Jason versus Leo. It was pretty much essentially He-Man versus Lion-O 2.0, except it was in the 90s, and oh my god, like I just rewatched it for this fight, and oh man, it's great. Like the animation, the voice acting, the hand-drawn elements, even the fucking soundtrack.
Yeah, the soundtrack's so good.
Especially during the last few seconds of it.
Not. Oh yeah, no, they did not. I repeat, they did not have to go 8-bit for this soundtrack. They didn't have to make it feel like it came from an NES video game crossover, but they did. They went the extra mile to really make it feel like this is a Saturday morning cartoon or video game that we got in the 90s. So yeah, it was. It's probably the best. In my opinion, it's the best 2D animated fight we've gotten so far. And Booster Gold versus Cable, it did do a good job, but I still prefer this one. So, yeah, that's about it in terms of my favorites. Oh boy, time for me to crack my knuckles and get on to the least favorites. Obviously, Genos versus War Machine.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, okay. I did rewatch it again.
I liked it even less when I watched it today. Like, I think I appreciated it more when I first watched it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I feel the same way. Like, for the first 2 times I watched it, it was pretty enjoyable, but the more and more I watched it, and especially when I went back and realizing, okay, this is Rooster Teeth's first time with an action anime fight. So I went back and I watched Samurai Jack versus Afro Samurai, and I watched Smokey McGruff versus I'm sorry, Smokey McGruff. Smokey the Bear versus McGruff the Crime Dog. God damn it. And those were first time animations in hand drawn.
Yeah.
And they are still so much better than this one. And that's no disrespect. Yeah. That is no disrespect to Rooster Teeth. It's just, I understand they wanted to do this fight, but I feel like they were being way ambitious. I really feel like if they were going to do this fight, they should have collaborated with Lewis and Zach to really iron out this fight and make it the best it can be. Because I'm telling you, those stiff, jagged animations when they're throwing punches.
Oh my god,
it's bad. Like
it's
that
not
is
good.
No, it's not. That's one instant, and people are probably going to say, "Oh, but they're trying to be like Dragon Ball Z because it had fights." Like, no, don't even compare that to Dragon Ball Z because
that's what they're trying to do. They're failing.
Yes, exactly. This fight was just too ambitious for them. I really feel like they should have done fights like Danny Phantom versus Jake Long.
Agreed.
So that way, it's something they're comfortable with. It's something they can do. And if they eventually got better and better as time went on, then you give them this type of matchup.
Yeah, if the people who animated Danny Phantom versus Jake Long and the people who animated Genos vs. War Machine swapped projects, I think both projects would have benefited.
Absolutely, yes. The voice acting was fine. Genos' voice actor, he was fine. War Machine's voice actor, Mark, I liked him. I really did. The soundtrack. Oh my god, the fucking soundtrack. It's amazing. It is one of my favorite tracks of this season, despite it not having lyrics. But this fight overall, I just wasn't impressed by it now that I watched it again, because I'm an anime enthusiast. I have seen all kinds of anime fights. So this was essentially trying to be that it didn't have something original. It didn't feel like it had its own voice. Because you go back to Samurai Jack versus Afro Samurai, that feels like it has both. That feels like it has both something for Samurai Jack and Afro Samurai, and it also has its own voice. It has its own unique style. Smokey the Bear versus McGruff the Crime Dog. It's a cartoony fight, but when you look at it, it is original because of how it's taking these two mascots and just making them fight in a cartoony way. That's very unique and it's very original. This was just trying to be overambitious.
Yeah.
And
They
again,
they just didn't have the experience to do a project like this. So
no, yeah, and
again, they're talented animators. It's just that this was not their ballpark.
Yeah, no, and they had to unfortunately cut corners in this area because usually, if you go back and watch Deadpool versus the Mask, they actually used hand-drawn backgrounds. They drew those backgrounds, but because of this fight, they couldn't do that. So they had to just use a 3D model environment and stick the animation on top of it. So you were seeing hand-drawn characters fight in a 3D environment, and it stood out like a sore thumb. I tried very, very hard to just see, okay, does it incorporate well? No, it does. It really sticks out. You can see there's a huge difference between 2D and 3D. But I gotta say, positives, I like the designs of Genos and War Machine. I think they're very well designed, they're very well detailed, and the flying segments, the fire effects, the beams, all that was fine. It was just trying to be something it's not. It's trying to be something that a crew doesn't have the experience to do. And it's like Jari said, if you would have given Lewis this fight, he would have made it 1,000 times better. And if you would have given them Danny Phantom versus Jake Long, it would have been a big improvement from Deadpool versus The Mask. But as it is, this fight is just okay. It's not bad. It's not unwatchable. It's just the same thing you've seen. If you've seen a lot of anime fights, this isn't going to impress you. You're just going to be able to see the things they're trying to reference. So yeah, other than that, it's not bad. It's just it was trying to be too much. So I really hope if Rooster Teeth Animations come back that they do work with Zach and Lewis to really make it somewhat better if they are picked again to do action fights. Oh boy, second least favorite episode. It's Wonder Woman versus She-Ra.
Really?
Yes, really. Yes. Now, originally, it was just... I can say... I think my least favorite was Sindel versus Black Canary. And that is just because I was expecting a lot more from that fight. But then I saw this fight. And again, I'm going to be nice because I'm not an asshole.
Debatable.
Shut up.
Point proven.
No, point not proven.
Point proven.
No. The 3D models were very well constructed, except for Wonder Woman's, because as we pointed out in the last one, her neck looks... It looks like she's about to... it looks like a Jack-in-the-Box neck is about to just extend. I'm waiting for her neck to just shoot into the air. It's very weird. It makes the injustice...
That's what happened to She-Ra.
Yeah, exactly. That is exactly what happened. Like Wonder Woman's model, it makes Injustice 1 Wonder Woman's model look better by comparison. Like, I really think they needed to refine this model. The choreography, it was great. The cell shading, I loved it. It was a huge improvement over Weiss versus Mitsuru, but everything else was literally just a short burst of, I was entertained. I wasn't on the edge of my seat. My blood wasn't pumping because, again, It's fucking Wonder Woman. You bring back Wonder Woman for a third time, and you put her up against She-Ra, which it's a fucking no-brainer. It really is a no-brainer. And I still went with She-Ra because I really, really thought that they were going to completely redo Wonder Woman's backstory and her analysis, but they didn't. They stuck to the same. They stuck to their guns, just like Batman versus Black Panther, and that's a very big disappointment because all this fight is they're just swinging their swords, they're blocking. She-Ra's sword transforms. The invisible jet shows up, and then bracelets break. God's sword appears. Boom! Wonder Woman wins.
Yeah.
That's bad. Like, I should not be able to sum up this fight in less than a minute. I really feel like it needed to be extended. And again, if I get it. They have time constraints, but if that was the case, then they should have just had this episode be in the second half, so they can.
They should have made Grey vs. Esdeath like 30% shorter and made this 30% longer.
Exactly. Yes, because again, I recall liking Grey vs. Esdeath, but that fight was way too long, and
it dragged.
Yes, it did. It dragged on too long. This fight was just too short, and it wasn't even a good short. Because again, go back to Obi-Wan versus Kakashi. You cannot tell me that you wouldn't believe that animation is 3 minutes long. It's over 3 minutes because of how good the pacing is, the storyboarding, everything in that fight has a natural flow to it. This doesn't. It just ends as it started to get interesting. And I really, really don't like that. There were some good moments in it, and again, my buddy John, he's an awesome storyboard artist, and I love watching his storyboards. I think I would be more entertained watching his storyboards than this actual finished animation because it just doesn't work for me. And end of the day, this was a weak fight to end off on. It really was weak.
Yeah.
And I feel like it should have been it should have been pushed back. You should have ended it with Danny versus Jake, and you should have just had something else take this place. You should have had it. I mean, hell, you should have had Beerus versus whoever as the final episode.
That probably would have been a more satisfying mid-season finale.
Yes, exactly. So I do not like this episode. I really don't, and it sucks because a He-Man character finally makes an appearance for the first time since 2013, and it's not He-Man, but it's the closest I'm gonna get, only to fucking lose to Godkiller over here because she's Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
And I don't like that. So, yeah, it's not unwatchable. It's not. It is not Sector versus Fulgor levels of bad. No, not even.
This is a god tier match compared to that.
Yeah, and it is. And it is obviously better than Thor versus Wonder Woman. Like, Thor versus Wonder Woman was straight up almost unwatchable because the animation was just terrible. And
I will say this match is like slightly better than Thor versus Wonder Woman.
Yeah, because again, it's fully polished, but it just Thor versus Wonder Woman had more action, but it lacked polish. This has polish, but it lacks more action. So yeah, it's just I would say it's just an average episode. Like, that's probably the worst thing this episode is. It's just painfully average, and
you know what? That's not. It's still better than like 95% of all other versus shows. So at least that's not going for it.
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, those are pretty much all the fights that I liked. I disliked. I'm really hoping that the back half can really kick it into gear and just give us a good 3D season finale to end off on. Because again, this was just an average mid-season finale, and I don't like it. I don't like average mid-season finales. I like mid-season finales to keep me waiting, and again, this didn't keep me waiting. So yeah, that's it. I'm pretty much done.
All right.
All right, Jaru, do you want to give your long list? I'm terrified.
The Science Show.
100.
Whose idea was this?
So I, in preparation for this, I rewatched all of the season and ranked each one a score from 1 to 10 and compared them and contrasted them. It was harder than I thought because like half of this season I gave a 7 out of 10, and it's like, God, I had to sort and say which 7 out of 10 was better than the other 7 out of 10s. But I did, and this whole list is going to be controversial, by the way, because it looks nothing like either of yours.
Well, that's actually what I like.
Yeah. All right. Let's start with we'll work from the bottom up. One on a positive note. So we'll start with the worst one. Genos versus War Machine. But Richard pretty much said everything. It's clunky. I didn't like the character models. The action, like, it was gratuitous, and like having Genos blast War Machine like 12 times and over and over and not doing anything. It was like, okay, I get it. Genos loses. Just fucking get it over with already. It's like, it's just, come on. And it was, I don't know. I didn't like it. It was whatever. It was a 4 out of 10 death battle. I did not like it much at all. I'd rather never watch it again. And yeah, so no, that's all I have to say about that. Moving on. This is where Richard said everything about that fight that needs to be said. So I'm just going to move on. Above that, here's where things get real controversial. Second worst of the season so far. Miles versus Static. Yeah. When I went back and watched all these, most of them, with only a few exceptions, I thought, wow, this is better than I remembered. Miles versus Static was worse than I remembered. And it's tragic because there's clearly so much love poured into it.
Oh, yeah.
Like, there's so much love poured into the song. There's so much love poured into, like, the special effects, trying to make it look like Into the Spider-Verse. And I appreciate that. But here's the thing. I don't care about the analysis. I don't care about the outcome. I rate these matches purely on how good the fight is. And sadly, having a rap battle is a cool idea. It doesn't make the fight. It doesn't make the combat hit harder. It doesn't make the climax more epic. It's just dudes talking in the background. Because I can't pay attention to a rap battle and pay attention to a death battle at the same time.
Yeah, no.
So it's just sort of people talking. And so it doesn't really add to it. Same thing with the special effects that make it reference to Spider-Verse. It's like, it's neat that those are there, but they don't make the hits hit harder. They don't make the death more intense. It's just there. It's just a reference for reference's sake. And that doesn't... references can add to a death battle if implemented well. Like with Obi-Wan versus Kakashi, having Darth Vader as part of the Genjutsu. Fantastic reference, integrated well, makes the fight cooler. Nothing like that is in Miles vs. Static. And here's the issue. The fight is so... One of the things I hate most in 2D death battles is when it's literally just, I'm going to hit you, and then you will hit me, and then I will hit you, and none of these hits will do anything. And then at the end, suddenly, for no reason, this hit will kill you. And it's just like... I hate when that happens, when it's just this like generic back and forth. And that, when I rewatched it, like, there's some cool usage of powers, but none of them are. But it's like, I will use this power to make it to where you can't stick to the building, and then I will use this power to attach to the building, and then I will use this power to move a metal blade. It's like, it's just them using their powers back and forth until one of them runs out of powers, and it's just not. it wasn't very fun. Like rewatching it, like it's weird because the pieces of it are great, but it's actually what's that phrase? Some of its parts greater than the sum of its parts.
Yes.
This is less than the sum of its parts. It's just it doesn't come together. It just doesn't come together, and it's not very fun. I don't really enjoy watching it. When I first watched it, I liked it more, but that was pure nostalgia. I was just so nostalgic about Static Shock, and I loved seeing him again. But
Yes.
rewatching it objectively, or as objectively as possible, it's compared to other Death Battles, it's only okay. Like it's good, but there are better matches this season.
Yeah, I mean,
and literally all the other matches are better.
Yeah, I mean, well, one positive that has to come out of it is it made people go back and watch the old Static cartoon.
Yeah, and that's the thing. As a nostalgia trip, it was fun. I enjoyed it. As a Death Battle, it had its shortcomings. But yeah, so that's probably one of my more controversial hot takes here. Above Miles vs. Static at third worst, again, another controversial take, is Danny Phantom versus Jake Long. Yeah, it has the same problems. I don't like the characters rapping. It was weird. A lot of the choreography was just, I will slap you, and then I will slap you, and then I will shoot fire, and then I will shoot laser. And it was very generic back and forth, like for a decent chunk of the fight. But there were moments that were cool, like when, they did clones, or when they made a fiery dragon tornado, etc. Like there were moments that were cool, but the moments that I wanted to be crazy hype, like 12 or
Jaru, you cut out a bit there. Do you want to repeat that last bit?
Oh, sorry. But like the main things that I was like looking forward to, like I was expecting an epic, like, oh my god, the ghost whale, Danny Phantom's gonna use his ghost whale and it's gonna be epic. And it's just used once and it's like lame. And it's like the things I was hoping for were not executed. And the deaths sucked. Putting him in the thermos was fine, but like that's like something that in old Death Battles would be like the post credit, like the post battle like cutscene. Like,
yeah,
you know what I'm talking about?
No, yeah, I was the same way. I feel like, okay, it's a cool death, but I feel like that should have been a post-credit scene. I really feel like I just feel like the death was just very standard. I mean, for God's sakes, the fight before it, we had an intense death, and we had an intense samurai showdown death, and then for this one, it's like, I blast you with my Kamehameha, then I suck you into this thermos.
Yeah, like, why did he have to, like, it should have been the whale. It's his most powerful attack. Why did you kill him with a generic attack? Like, it doesn't make sense. And it's like, they're fighting, he's possessed him, and then, oh, wait, he's dead. What happened? It's like, it's just so sudden. He's just insta-vaporized. And it's so weird, and I didn't like that at all.
Well, it's not even like they can't, like, this death can't be done better. I mean, for God's sakes, go back to Iron Man versus Lex Luthor. You see how much effort they put into just making Lex Luthor disintegrate.
Yeah, but that's a good disintegration.
Yeah, exactly. This is like, you'd
this
be like,
not.
no, it's not.
Like, it should have been the Ghost Whale that finished him off. And, like, you can still do the thermos, and that would have been an awesome final touch. But as it stands, the thermos is the only good part of the death. Like, the vaporization sucks. Just have him use the Ghost Whale, vaporize him, or blast him into bloody chunks, like, whatever. Go full Ace versus Natsu. Have his flush get blasted off by the Ghost Whale. That'd be cool.
And for those saying, oh, but that'd be too violent for these shows.
I don't give a shit.
Exactly. Well, okay, I like to add on to that point you brought up. Okay, I knew they had to have Jake Long rapping because if you watch his show, I swear to God, like, he raps and uses slang constantly. But when Danny did it, that was a bit out of character because I watched the first season of Danny Phantom. He doesn't rap.
Yeah. I was expecting a more serious depiction of Danny, at least in the latter portions of the fight where he starts killing him.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, God, how embarrassing must it be to have this kid rapping at you as he fucking murders you? It's like, That's so bait. That's so lame.
Exactly. It's like
no, I wasn't a fan of them. Again, it's one of those things where it's like clearly someone put some love into it, but it was love put in the wrong places, and it didn't come together. It's better than Miles vs. Static because it at least had, like, I think the sprites were cooler. I think the unique powers were more interesting to watch utilized. But generally, though, these are very comparable matches. I felt similarly about them.
It at least felt like a lost episode, a lost crossover that was made almost 2 decades ago, and only some of it holds up.
It's better than Miles vs. Static, and it's obviously way better than Genos vs. War Machine. But it's only okay. Like, it's good. It's good. Don't get me wrong. It's good. It's just not great. And so there were others. This is one of the 7 out of 10 matches, and it was one of the low. It's like the lowest 7 out of 10 on the list. All right, so that's that. Above that, I put Gray versus SD. And
wow,
I know it's weird. I'll admit. And here's what's funny. I don't really understand what was happening at Gray versus SD. And you know what? That's to be understood. I don't really understand these characters or know their stories or know their powers. I mean, I know Gray. I watched Fairy Tale. I don't know SD. So half of what she did, I was like, I guess that's one of her powers. But even when it was Gray, like sometimes he'd be using shit. And I'm like, what is this? What does this do? What? I know your powers, but I don't even recognize what's going on. But here's the thing. I didn't really understand what was going on, but I knew it was cool. like I didn't get what was happening, but it was cool. By contrast, I knew exactly what was happening in Danny versus Jake, and it wasn't cool. And that's sort of the difference. Gray vs. SD is flawed. It drags. It's weird, and it's not very clear what's happening. And that's partially my fault. But if anything, that shows that it should be higher ranked than where I put it, because considering I didn't even know what was happening, and I still thought it was cool. So yeah, it's better than Danny and Miles because it's cool. Like there were moments I was like, damn, that's cool. Like that's some anime shit. I like it. But it was too confusing for me to rank much higher. I don't have much else to say about that one. Then we reach another controversial pick. Probably I think this is like right in the middle because there's 10 episodes. 5th. So this is like dead center in the middle. She-Ra versus Wonder Woman. Here's the thing. None of these matches left as much of a bad taste in my mouth as this match did.
Oh, yeah.
But here's the thing. That comes almost exclusively from who's fighting and who won. And that's not what I aim to rate death battles by. So it was a very big struggle to rate this fight objectively and not let the fact that I hate Wonder Woman being back affect my judgment of the actual animation quality. And going into it and watching it, there's plenty of really cool moments. Like their sword exchange with She-Ra's sword flying all over the place. And like the choreography, that was cool. Her throwing the invisible jet was really cool. The death was good, even if it wasn't really the best like paced. But so like I don't even really want to think about it too long because I hate that it exists. But objectively, there's clearly just too much production value put into this match for me to not rate it at least this high. It's like I understood what was happening and it was executed fairly well. And as opposed to Gray versus SD, in which I didn't really understand what was happening, or Danny Phantom or Miles, where I knew what was happening and it was mediocre. But I can't. I don't want to talk. I don't want to think about She-Ra.
No, yeah, it's okay.
Long. It's just I hate that it existed, but it was made well.
Yeah.
Moving on. This is where now we're in the top half. These are like my top 5 death battles of the season. 5th place, Black Canary versus Sindel. That's probably a controversial one, considering a lot of people rate it as like one of their least favorites. And I don't buy it. Like, I don't buy rating it that low. Because going back and rewatching it, like, I enjoyed it the first time. I loved it the second time. Yeah, Sindel's hair is goofy in certain shots. Don't get me wrong. It's weird. But the voice acting's on point. Shao Kahn says fight. The choreography is sick. Their
Yes.
powers are fun. You get a beam struggle of screaming. There's high flying action as they go into the sky in front of the moon, like Raiden's finisher and
Injustice 2, yeah.
yeah. It's intense. Like she's getting choked out at one point by her
Oh,
hair. And she throws out a bomb and then she saves herself. It's so much high flying, intense action, and and the bone breaking. One thing I would say that this fight does better than Goro vs. Machamp is integrating the X-rays. The X-rays help demonstrate a difference in their abilities in the death battle by showing, yes, Sindel is stronger. This is a factor. And it was integrated well. It wasn't just a reference for reference's sake. It meant something. And then, of course, the death was great. The death was really good. And the way that she's like, fatality. It's like, that's sick. I loved it. I really enjoyed this match going back and rewatching it. I think it's greatly underrated. I think it deserves more love than it gets. I'll admit her hair is dumb. I'll say it. But you only really notice that in like one, maybe two shots. Most of the time, you don't notice it. Most of the time, you're too focused on the combat to care about the goofy hair. But yeah, no, it had one of the cooler deaths, and it was just really well presented. I liked it a lot. My number 4 is Leonardo versus Red Ranger.
Yes.
I had so much fun rewatching this. I wanted to rate it higher, but it was so good. It was so much fun. It's so cheesy. It's so 90s. It's like that's bogus. I love it. It's so 90s. It's amazing. And the music was so good. It's so nostalgic. I love it. And like the action was really good too. Like when Leo's just like all the times where Leo's just flipping and dipping and wow with his swords is great. And when he's flying through portals, that's awesome.
Yes.
And the death was pretty damn good. Like it was a little awkward because of the sprite limitations, but it's still, he cuts him in half and then he explodes behind him. Cool guys don't look at explosions. It's so Power Rangers. And
even the dialogue was
the dialogue was
TMNT and Power Rangers.
great. I loved the dialogue.
Yes.
And the hand drawn elements were nifty. I'd say they were little. They weren't the strongest hand drawn elements, but
I say Leonardo's was the better one.
Yeah, I think it's neat that they're there. I don't think they added a lot to the fight, but they didn't take away from it either. Yeah, it was cool. It was a really, really fun match. I had a lot of fun. I think I had probably more. Yeah, I definitely had more fun with it than a lot of the matches that I've talked about so far. It's fun. I liked it.
Yeah.
Third place is Booster Gold versus Cable.
Oh yes.
Okay, I did not expect to rank this match this high. In fact, I forgot it existed. But going back and rewatching it, Booster Gold's the fucking riot. He is hilarious.
Yes,
He's
he is.
so freaking funny. He's like, must disable force field, and it's like he's such a ham, and it's so good. It's like Gilderoy Lockhart if he was a superhero, and it's just amazing. And Cable's great too. He's so serious and takes his like shtick so seriously, and I love it. It's so much fun, and like the action sequences are really good too.
Oh yeah.
Like I love the part where Cable slams the trucks together on Mr. Gold, and you're like, okay, that's kind of cool. But then Cable pushes the trucks into a building, and it's like, oh, it takes it one step further. It keeps going one step further than you expect.
Yeah, also, the dab in this is much better. I'm sorry. This was probably my favorite dab, because Booster does dab.
Of course he does.
Yeah. And again, this is one of the better dabs, because it's subtle. Like, if you blink it, you miss it.
Yeah, I did miss it. I don't even know where it happened.
Yes.
That's fantastic.
Yes, it is.
Was it when there was a bunch of Goosters? Was that when it happened?
No, it was when the trucks were coming to squish him, and before they came in contact with Booster, he's dabbing, and then he breaks the dab sequence, the dab sequence, just to hold the trucks.
That's great.
Yes.
That's fantastic. Yeah, every line of dialogue in this is like, I could put that on a poster. It's like, did you hit me into next week?
Like a million next
weeks.
weeks.
It's like, oh, that's so good.
Yes.
I love their powers and how they use them. I love the time travel. The dinosaur was hilarious, in terms of it looking so derpy.
Yeah.
It was like they brought in their third grader to draw a dinosaur. And you know what? I appreciate it. You know, it was an adorable dinosaur.
Yeah.
And the part where like all the boosters tackle the dinosaur was actually straight up sick. Like that was awesome.
Yes.
And then all the boosters teaming out to attack him. That was fun. I loved Cable's various weapons. And he's so hammy at the end where he's like, no, must. And he's like just hamming it up. He just hams it up the whole time, and I love it.
Yes.
This is my favorite 2D fight of the season thus far.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I had so much fun. And I didn't expect to have so much fun. It was probably the match that I enjoyed the most upon rewatch. Here's where I get to my last bit of controversy. The top 2 death battles of the season. And I'm going to go out on a limb, say something a little controversial. I'd say Goro versus Machamp was the best fight so far. I'd put it above Obi-Wan versus Kakashi.
Whoa! Holy
Yeah.
shit.
I have to admit, that's actually kind of interesting because I really thought you would have been a die-hard Obi-Wan versus Kakashi fan for the whole thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Because in fact, even after we talked about that episode, you were still going on about it in other episodes we were doing this podcast.
It was fantastic. But upon rewatching, Obi-Wan versus Kakashi has a few flaws.
Blasphemy.
Goro versus Machamp does not. Goro versus Machamp.
It is a really, as someone who's, I guess I do enjoy this episode because I love Machamp as a Pokemon. I do love Goro is a pretty badass character. I'm not talking about just in games, but if you read the comics, he's pretty fleshed out. And I didn't really mind who would have won, honestly, because for one, there's plenty of Machamp in the sea, and you know, they can resurrect Goro. I mean, death has no meaning in Mortal Kombat anymore. so let them fight.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. Obi-Wan versus Kakashi, I've already raved at length about how amazing this fight is. The Genjutsu, the references, the comedy, the cool use of their crazy powers, the death. Like, so many aspects of it are amazing. But there are 1 or 2 things that hold it back.
Obi-Wan getting butt fucked?
No, actually. I thought that was... I was generally neutral about that. Obi-Wan's eyeballs look a little weird at times. They look a bit buggy. They don't look quite right in this animation style. Kakashi looked great.
No. Well,
Obi-Wan looked great sometimes. But sometimes he looked a little weird.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, like the first time, like when we're opening, yeah, I agree. The Obi-Wan model, it doesn't look like the face is right. It really feels like, okay.
There's something just a little off.
Yeah, but it got better. It stayed consistent. It got better and stayed consistent in the last 2 minutes, but in that first minute, oh yeah, it definitely was a little buggy.
Yeah. Whenever he's like closing his eyes, he looks so much better. When his eyes are closed, he's focusing on being a badass. 100% better. It's when his eyes are open and they look kind of weird and buggy, and I don't know. I don't like that. Kakashi just looked perfect. He looked perfect. And yeah, this match I could rave about it constantly, but like there's like a couple bits of choreography that weren't perfect. Like whenever Kakashi goes in to punch Obi-Wan, like there's like moments where he's like pausing, and it's like I don't know, it doesn't flow.
Yeah, no. I was really hoping that Obi-Wan and Kakashi wouldn't exchange in hand-to-hand combat because, you know, Obi-Wan is, despite what, okay, that's not John's fault, that's not the animator's fault, that's the script's fault, because the script depicts Obi-Wan as not being the type to fight without his lightsaber. If he's without his lightsaber, he'll just use the Force. That's not true. Obi-Wan can fight hand-to-hand.
Oh, I'm sure you can.
Yeah, no, I know, but I'm just saying, okay, yeah, I really wish that would have happened. Like, we would have gotten a choreography hand-to-hand combat scene with both of them.
Yeah, I would have preferred that than this kind of awkward sequence where Kakashi punches him, and then he pauses, and then he punches him one more time. It gets pushed out. It was just a little slow, it didn't flow perfectly. And my other big complaint probably is the Genjutsu was awesome. The transition from Darth Vader leaping into Kakashi, one of the sickest things in Death Battle history.
By the way, we're still discussing Goro versus Machamp.
Well, I'm discussing Obi-Wan versus Kakashi because it's...
Why didn't you bring all this up when you were talking about that episode?
Because it's in second place. And I'm talking about why it's in second place and Goro versus Machamp is in first place.
Fair enough, you win this round.
Pay more attention.
Exactly.
Well, shut up.
Yeah.
Okay, I will admit, I've been trying to get this fly out of my room, so that's why I probably haven't been hearing a lot of this.
Yeah, no worries.
I'm like Saitama right now, just trying to squat this fly.
I understand. But yeah, so the transition from Darth Vader to Kakashi, one of the sickest things in Death Battle history. But the immediate payoff was weak. Because, Obi-Wan reacts to it, but then it's just sort of Kakashi just sort of kind of misses, and he just sort of slumps over Obi-Wan. It's like, I wanted a more impactful counterattack.
Yeah, I feel like the camera...
something about it just didn't flow properly.
Yeah, I feel like the camera... Well, again, I feel there was actually meant to be more with that sequence, but because the animators couldn't do it, John had to change it from just to the sequence we saw. But yeah, I agree. I feel like there should have been a more impactful scene of Obi-Wan just grabbing Kakashi and throwing him into the tree, because
it just sort of it doesn't have impact. For such a big moment, you want him to barely dodge, maybe get a streak of blood on his cheek, and then do a sick counterattack of some kind that hits really hard. That's what you want right there. That's what you want to do to make it the best impact possible, and they didn't do that. So yeah, those are kind of the details that all come together. Oh, and then one other final tiny complaint. In their final anime / who's dead moment, Obi-Wan's kind of movement, he doesn't he kind of goes from standing one position to slash, and that's cool and all, but his model his model isn't in enough of a bent over I just did a powerful sword swing pose. So it kind of looks like he just sort of got no clipped from point A to point B.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, if that makes sense.
To be fair, it was made in the Valve animation engine, so maybe he did no clip. Maybe he just activated Gmod as he was about to.
Yeah, maybe.
Obi-Wan's too OP. He has hacks.
Yeah, exactly.
Hacks!
Well, okay.
That is an old joke. If anyone can get that joke, I will pin your comment.
Yeah. I think, the other thing I think that I have that I should have brought up, because I love when Jar breaks down the flaws of a fight that we both love. I did not like the lightsaber effect. I feel like it was very flat, and I wanted more to it, because it feels like there is an easy tutorial on how you can just take a lightsaber effect, and it's very flat, and all it does is just glow, and then you just have to add the noises. I feel like because this being SFM, there should have been more detail in the way the lightsaber lit up and just
Yeah, I actually can agree with that. Because it's a blade of death. Everything it touches is destroyed. It should feel a little bit more intense when it's present.
Yeah, exactly. If you go watch the movies, you go watch the TV shows, they put extra care and detail into just making sure the lightsaber does not look flat. It actually looks like an eloquent beam of light. That's all. When you look at it up close, it's beautiful. But when you see it in combat, it's just so versatile. It's destructive. For this, it just felt like they just put the glow effect. They just put the effect on, added the noises, and that's it. I really feel like there should have been more attention to detail.
Well, they did put a lot of attention to the actual lightsaber itself. You can see, you can see it looks exactly like Obi-Wan's lightsaber. They didn't just put some white stick there, and just put some light over it.
Well, again, that wasn't even them because again, they're using the new Battlefront 2 Obi-Wan model, which does look like Ewan McGregor. It's very well detailed. So that wasn't even them. That was just EA's. That was just DICE who made that model and the model for the lightsaber. So that's why the lightsaber.
That is fair, but no. Yes. Actually, no. I can't defend that. Okay, good point.
Yeah. So I know, and I'm happy that they used the model and the model was the same. It's just the lightsaber itself, the beam of light. It needed to be more detailed. And again, when EA and DICE can do something better, then there is a slight problem here.
Well, I mean, to be fair, DICE have access to like millions of dollars worth of equipment and even official like sets to be on the Star Wars set to get the details. Whereas Devil Artemis just had to get those models, and again, he didn't have access to all their equipment.
Well, why? It was Devil Artemis wasn't just he didn't animate this by himself.
I know it was others, but I can't remember who the other two were. Sorry, I just know they're known as the Triple Ds or something like that.
Yeah, the D team.
The D team.
Anyway,
I like Triple D though.
Continue, Jaru. Sorry for my off-topic rant.
No, but yeah, and to be clear, these are all just nitpicks. The fight is a 10 out of 10. It is one of the best death battles the show's ever seen.
Yeah.
What?
I would go so far as to say it's hands down better than All Might versus Might Guy.
Oh, easily. Not even a contest.
Yes.
But I have no such nitpicks for Goro versus Machamp.
Oh my
God. Gosh, she's 10 out of 10. Goro versus Machamp's an 11 out of 10. It is so freaking good.
Now who's freaking overhyping an episode?
Hey!
I took issue with you calling something 11 out of 10 because it wasn't as good as Goro versus Machamp. And that's my issue. It's amazing. It's so damn good. The characters look so amazing. Like you look at that fight and then you compare it to She-Ra versus Wonder Woman. And you're like, how are the models so much better?
Do you know what's actually?
Yeah, well, no,
okay,
it's even more of an insult. Go ahead.
One thing I kind of find funny about this is that Jaru was saying ages ago that this episode, I'm not sure if it was specifically Jaru, I might be mixing up someone else. You were saying like this episode is not worth being in like the 125th place, but now here you are just saying it's probably the best episode ever.
It's not my fault that they were like, I want the best death battle of this season.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
It was like when they made Wario vs. DDD the best death battle of that season. It's like, okay, I get if you want. Like,
no.
It's not my fault that this is the one they chose to be God tier.
Yeah, no, but what I was gonna say is when Jaru asked how She-Ra versus Wonder Woman came after this, well, see, that's an insult because both of these fights, the models were completely custom. They actually built the Goro and Machamp models from the ground up, and you wouldn't be able to tell. Yes, these aren't asset
I thought
models.
they were ripped from the games.
No, they're not. That's
no, even
Machamp's
model, even though it looks almost identical to the Pokken fighting game, no, that was handmade.
Yeah.
What?
Yes.
So good.
That's what I'm trying to find out. And then later on, Wonder Woman versus She-Ra would also have custom handmade 3D models from the ground up, and they look terrible by comparison.
She-Ra looks all right.
Well, okay, yeah, She-Ra looks.
Wonder Woman looks like Injustice. It's rough.
Yeah, exactly.
I guess whoever's making these, like, I guess he can't be perfect all the time. And Wonder Woman was like, it was like, oh, it's Friday. I don't want to do it.
I think that.
Just put in the neck from Injustice 1.
They put more. It just shows. I think they were willing to put more effort and energy into this fight than that fight.
I don't blame them. I would feel the exact same way.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, God, that blows my mind that these were made from the ground up. They're so good.
Yeah.
Like I'm a Machamp stan now. Like after watching.
I will say,
How can I
like,
stand a
the
character
way
who only says one word?
do you know? I love the fact that first off, that your phone interrupts the podcast. Whoever that was.
Let me silence it.
But what I absolutely loved is the fact how quickly it changed from, like, it looked like a typical fist fight, but then suddenly Goro and Machamp are ripping each other's limbs off, freaking cracking
they're
skull.
using their powers. Like Machamp uses tackle
Oh my God.
when he picks him up, like that slow-mo bit where he slowly kips up and then he grabs
Oh my
Goro
God.
out of the air.
Seismic toss.
Yes,
That was one of the sickest things in Death Battle history. Like,
Yeah.
it's so cool.
Yeah.
He counterattacked with seismic toss.
Yeah,
That was
exactly.
so cool.
And then he ended it with a dab, a double dab.
Yeah,
And he
exactly.
dabbed, and it was like, you're
At
allowed.
that point, I didn't
allow it.
care. Yeah, at
So
that point,
fucking sick.
at that point,
You deserved a dab.
yeah,
Cool.
yeah, exactly.
I think my favourite part of the episode has to be when Machamp was straight up punching Goro and just going, Machamp, 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 Machamp.
Yeah.
In a season where they've done so many of these, like, oh, we're punching really fast, and like did it so poorly, like in Genos vs. War Machine. The fact that they did it here and it was so much better. Oh.
It was like okay. They had to have gone back and watched Jotaro versus Kenshiro and saw the stand fighting Kenshiro, and they were like, let's do that. But let's do it even better and faster. Like, let's the fact that it starts off slow with Machamp just saying Machamp, and then it picks up, and then they're going very, very fast. Like, oh my god! And again, it's just so awesome.
A little detail I absolutely love is that at first Goro is pulling on a brave face for the punches, but as it's going on, you see he gets more terrified. Like, holy shit, man! How does this guy punch so fast?
Yes, and again. I still say this. I love the voice acting in Obi-Wan Kenobi. Like, I give that shit a 10 out of 10. But oh my god, like,
how do you how can I praise a voice actor and be like, dude, you said Machamp's so good? Like, how do I say that? How do I phrase that without sounding like an idiot?
They brought in the actor I think he had 50 or 500 dialogues worth of him just saying Machamp, but instead of just saying it, he actually each time he said Machamp, it was like he was expressing emotion. So throughout the fight, Machamp just doesn't say the same thing. Whenever he's whenever he's in trouble, he says Machamp, or whenever he's very determined and he's pissed off, he says Machamp, 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 Machamp. It's like
I love
saying the word. Oh, like, it's amazing.
Yeah, and then when just for the little things, when Goro's like, face your death like a true warrior, Machamp just says Machamp, and it's him saying no. You can hear what he's trying to say.
No, here's how in my mind it sounds. At first he's going, I will never, but then when he says stop saying that, he just goes, no. Because you do hear a little champ when he says stop saying that, so so that to me, that's him saying no.
Yes, it's like
okay. Anyone who makes like meme videos, if you can fully just do a subtitle translation of Machamp and just as for a joke, just add anything to those, we will react to it. Or at least I will.
Yeah, you will.
Because I would love to see someone do that. Like they just make a translation for it.
Oh my god!
And,
yes.
So like, and one detail it's very easy to miss, like, is that one of before I forget, just Machamp is so expressive. His eyes, his face, he's so expressive. It's amazing.
Yes.
But when Machamp gets knocked down, and he gets ready to counterattack with seismic toss, Goro has leapt up into the air in order to like slam down on him because that's one of his moves in the game.
Yes.
All the forearm dudes, they'll jump up and then slam down on you, and that's what he's doing here. And Goro counterattacks with seismic toss, and it's like, oh my god, this is so cool. And as they're flying up into the air, you can faintly hear Goro going, ah! And it's like so good.
But yeah. Oh my god. Even the end death. We've seen limbs be ripped off, but the way they did it here, holy shit! Especially the final death. Machamp rips off all of Goro's limbs, and then he punches him. And then he just punches him very, 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 very fast. And then he punches him so hard, his whole body just explodes into pieces, and it goes up in the fucking air. And then they end it comedically with saying, Machamp is burned out. Machamp!
Yeah. And it's like, the choreography in this never lets up. There's no moment where I'm like, oh, that was kind of janky. I don't know if I like it. It's like, no, it's good. They're like punching and punching and punching, Machamp, and it just keeps getting better and better and better and better.
Well, one thing I really love, even though people look at this as a meme, if you pause the animations at just certain moments and you look at them out of context, you can actually see the models are stretching before they're doing the actions. Like, they feel like they don't feel like they're just one-dimensional when they're trying to do something like that. No, they actually stretch the model like rubber.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
Yeah. So that way, when you watch it in normal pace, it's very fast. But if you watch this in slow, yes, it's very impactful. But when you watch it in slow motion, you can actually see it stretching to certain areas because they have to be more impactful. The choreography has to be fast. It has to feel like you're going on a roller coaster. It's not letting up.
Yeah, it's like it reminds me of Dragon Ball Fighter Z, or Dragon Ball Fighters, I guess. It's like the supers in that game and plenty of the regular animations. The characters go totally off model. Like their hands will get bigger or their arms will get longer in order to make the shot look cooler. And that's exactly what they do here, and it's amazing. There's one moment in the fight, it's very easy to miss. It's after Machamp gets his head crushed, and Goro goes to pick him up, and it's like, what's he doing here? What's going on? He's trying to rip off his torso, because that's one of his fatalities.
Yes,
and then Machamp interrupts him.
He uses his arms and he backhands him.
And he throws him through a wall.
I was like, Machamp!
Jumps back through the door. And it's like,
oh my god, we haven't even talked about the attention to detail. The fact that the models actually take damage.
Yeah.
Like, when you see Goro, you see spots, you see black eyes, you see scars, and then with Machamp you see the same thing. It's like battle damage for a Pokemon and a Mortal Kombat character. What in the fuck?
It's so good. And it's like, one of the only things that I might have critiqued was the whole, cliche of, I have won, and then he's not defeated, and then Machamp comes back. But Goro wasn't caught off guard. He immediately counterattacks before Machamp gets anywhere close to him. So it's like, I can't even critique that because it didn't, it wasn't out of character.
No. Even the music. Oh my god.
Goro rips off his arm and beats him with his own arm.
Oh my god. I've always wanted to. I'm a sick bastard for this, but I've always wanted to see a death battle combatant rip off another limb and just beat the shit out of him with it.
We probably should wrap this bit up a bit because we have gone on this for a whole 30 minutes on this one matchup.
Okay,
yeah.
Well,
just the last talk about it, that final death, the ending, it's Machamp gets ready, and it's so many of the shots in this fucking episode, just screenshots, are so sick. They're so cool. I could spend an entire hour just dissecting every shot and saying, here's why this is sick as fuck. Here's why this one shot of a Machamp getting ready for his fucking fatality is cooler than everything in Gray versus Esdeath or everything in half of the season. And it's he goes in for this ultra combo, and he doesn't just punch him a little bit. He doesn't just punch him a little bit of fast-paced punching. He keeps going and going, and you're circling around him in this one continuous shot as he punches, and then he gives a thumbs up, which sparkles
by that ending,
a double uppercut of deaths.
By that ending, I feel like I just got done having sex, and now I'm smoking a cigar to just...
Too far!
Shut up!
That's not...
That joke... that joke's a bit...
Literally half an hour ago.
You can deep throat anything, it doesn't have to be sexual.
Sure. Anyway, Machamp It's the masterpiece that never should have been, but it was. And it was amazing. It's easily the best death battle of the season. It's
And
one
it's
of my
no
probably in
wonder
my
why
top five.
Thor versus, and it's no wonder why fucking Thor. I'm sorry, She-Ra versus Wonder Woman couldn't even compare. It couldn't compete.
No,
it was doomed. I tell
It's
you.
not even imagine. Like, this is actually in my top five. It's so good. I can't even. I don't even understand how it's so good, but it is. It's amazing.
So, I think to end this podcast on, we want to bring up characters we would love to see in a death battle.
Okay.
So who wants to go first? Any sort of characters you want to see in death battle this season or next?
Ooh.
You can say a matchup as well. I'm just saying, is there specifically a character?
Okay, a character. Well, I kind of have two.
I have three.
Okay.
So.
Okay. Well, I may. Well, okay, then I'll add one more for good measure because I want this to be even out. Character I would love to see in death battle. I would love to see John Wick in death battle.
I think we all would want to see John Wick.
I want to see John Wick in death battle. I don't care who you put him up against. I don't even care if he loses. I just want to see. We need a Keanu Reeves character in death battle. God dang it! We've had an Arnold Schwarzenegger character. We've had a Peter Weller character. And now we need a Keanu Reeves character. Like, fuck, man, come on. Hell, put fucking Rambo or Rocky in death battle. I'm just saying. Two matches that I want to see. Okay. First one is Crypto versus Underdog, the battle of two superhero dogs.
I'm rooting for Crypto so hard.
I love both of them. I grew up with the Crypto show. That was my first.
I only kind of know Crypto from the Titans TV show, and he's a good boy. I want to pet him.
Well,
I watched that one Crypto cartoon.
Yes.
And I know the Underdog. And I watched the live-action Underdog movie.
Wait, was that the cartoon that had Bat Dog and like some hot dog who was literally a hot dog? He was like fire.
Yes.
Oh my god, I have not watched that in years.
Well, then you're gonna have to.
Wow.
I love Underdog. I love both these characters, and I don't care which one of them wins. The point is, my childhood is going to win and it's going to lose, and I don't care who. It's just we need to see. We finally got a non-human combatant in death battle with Smokey the Bear versus McGruff the Crime Dog. Now we need a full dog-on-dog fight, and it makes it better because these are dogs with superpowers, and I think you could get a lot of mileage out of this one, especially if they were to have it be hand-drawn, because you can't do sprites. You can't do 3D models.
I do think this episode does need to be a hand-drawn one, or at the very least a flash one.
Yeah, yes, exactly. So that way you could, okay, I described this fight as this would essentially be a hybrid of Goku versus Superman meets Smokey the Bear versus McGruff the Crime Dog. It's over-the-top action and superpowers, but it's cartoony and comedic at the same time, especially if they get Underdog's rhymes in there. So, yeah, I want to see this fight so bad. I don't care if people are against seeing dogs get killed. One, these are fucking fictional dogs, and they both have superpowers, so who really cares?
Hey, any dog dying on screen is always sad to me.
It is, again.
Wait, hold on. God damn it, antivirus software, get the fuck off! No, everything's fine. I don't need to update! God damn it! My antivirus software was just like, hey Bill, I know you're halfway through this, but can you just update quickly? It's like, no,
not now. Yeah, okay. All right. Last matchup. Is Ash Williams from Evil Dead.
Oh, I would love him in Death Battle.
Versus Juliet Starling from Lollipop Chainsaw.
Oh my god! Wow, I remember playing that game in my PS3 era days.
I just recently got the game this year. The whole reason I got a PS3 Slim was just so I could play this game, because it's criminal. And again, I love this fucking game. It's in my top 5. It is criminally underrated, and it is and Sony and Microsoft should be ashamed that they have not fucking remastered this damn thing. And we need a goddamn sequel like right now.
Was this made by Capcom?
No, it was made. I forget who it was made by, but no, it wasn't made by Capcom. But but the story was actually written and directed by James Gunn.
Really? The guy behind Guardians of the Galaxy?
The guy behind Guardians of the Galaxy. And, the first 2 Scooby-Doo movies.
Oh, wow. I did not realize he directed those.
He didn't direct them, he wrote them.
I'll admit, I did like the second one, only because it featured my favourite monsters, but that's about it.
Yeah, so, anyway...
It helped contribute to the Ultra Instinct Shaggy meme.
Exactly. Yes, exactly.
Shaggy in Mortal Kombat 11.
Right?
God, Shaggy, Ultra Instinct Shaggy will be in Death Battle one day. You just wait.
At least a DBX.
Yeah. Anyway, I've wanted to see Ash Williams in Death Battle for so long, and the only other reasonable opponent that everybody, even myself, could think of to put him up against is Frank. And while that's not a bad idea, both of them do have a lot of stuff in common thematically. Hell, even personality-wise, you could get a lot of mileage off of these characters if you put them together. But then I saw and heard of Lollipop Chainsaw, I played the game, and I'm like, I think I just found an opponent for Ash. And this fight would just be... It would be summed up like this. It's 2 badass famous zombie killers who are both sexy and hot as hell going up against each other with a lot of cursing, with a lot of dark humor, and most importantly, because me and Yang, we love our gore, tons of gore.
Oh, you're talking about Yang. You're talking about Yang Insane. I was thinking, like, what? Where does Yang Xiaolong into gore?
Yeah, no. This fight would have tons of gore, and it would have to be in 3D because again, both of them have 3D models, and dude, I would love to hear. This is the only time I would be interested in the analysis. For one time, I would love to hear Boomstick's reaction to covering both of these. Like maybe he reveals when he talks about Ash's boomstick, and Wiz is like, is that why you call yourself Boomstick? Because Ash is like, you've discovered my secret, Wiz. The world must never know. And then he erases Wiz's mind.
Okay, that would be hilarious.
Yeah. And then Boomstick hitting on Julia, and then him making all these sex jokes. And then Wiz telling him, I don't think that's a good idea. She already has a boyfriend. What? Who? Well, he's attached to her hip. Wait a minute. You're telling me her boyfriend is a decapitated head? Oh, come on. I could do better than that. Well, if you were to get close to her, you would have to deal with her fucking awesome chainsaw. The thing that it's a gun, it's a chainsaw, it's a car engine that makes her go faster and leap through the fucking air. It's a cannon that fires out her boyfriend's head.
And to be clear, her boyfriend's head is also quite a lethal weapon against the undead.
Oh yeah, exactly.
She freaking ties that to like a ballet sort of thing and swings him around like a mace.
Oh yes. This fight could be so fucking awesome.
While there's some singing going on in the background, which to this day we still don't know who's singing that song.
Wait, Mickey, you so fine, you so fine.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure you can look that up. Anyway.
No, I meant like like someone pops out of nowhere and starts singing it in the background, and I'm just thinking.
Oh yeah, no,
random.
That's also something you would have to have in this. But yeah, point is, this would be an amazing fight if it was done well, if it was animated well, if it was written well, well acted, well storyboard. This could be the Goro versus Machamp meets Frank versus Leon of a future goddamn season. So I really hope it gets made, and and if it doesn't, then I'm just gonna keep requesting it because Death Battle can't say no forever. So yeah, that's my most those are my two most wanted matchups, and that's my most wanted character. When the John Wick saga is over, Death Battle, you better get fucking on getting him in Death Battle. You need to get him in.
Fair enough. Jaru, how many characters? Well, I'm pretty sure you have a lot of characters, but let's keep this simple. 3 specific characters you want to see in Death Battle, and if you have a matchup for them, let's hear it.
All right.
You did have a list prepared, right?
I only prepared half of this. No, I did have a list prepared. Let me pull up my list. Dexter versus Jimmy Neutron would be pretty hype.
Yes!
That would actually be quite cool, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
It makes more sense than Jimmy Neutron versus Timmy Turner. Which I get. Which I get it. They were in a crossover together, and we did kind of see them sort of fight against each other. But I'm just like, that was just more of a crossover episode. We don't need to see who would win between these characters. I'm pretty sure Timmy stomps anyway.
Yeah, he's kind of. I mean, if he has Cosmo and Wanda, he does.
Like he could just say, "I wish for Jimmy Neutron to be tiny." Squish. It's like,
yeah.
And plus, the rules wouldn't matter in the Death Battle because they have to break the rules to have the fight.
True.
Word.
So, Dexter versus Jimmy, scientists are kids. Let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it'd be pretty sick. I'd love to see what they could do with that. Another match I'd love to see, like probably really a high tier one for me, is shoot, what's his name? Isaac Clarke versus Gordon Freeman.
Ooh, now that is actually quite unique.
Yeah, that's a big one for me. I'd love to see that.
I can see that being interesting. 2 people who, realistically, they're not soldiers. They have no training. But then
they're engineers.
They got thrown into like an apocalyptic scenario, and they had to just scrounge up whatever they can to survive. In fact, most of their weaponry is building tools. Like Isaac doesn't have a gun; he's literally got essentially a space stapler, and that's what he's defending himself with.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's, I would love to see a match between those two. I think it would be one of the cooler matches if executed well. Yeah, so I'd love that. What would the third one be? There's plenty of matches I'd love to see. I'm just trying to pick one. There's so many. I guess I don't know. I'll go with something a bit more creative than the usual. The Daleks versus the Borg.
Oh!
Sorry, say that again.
The Daleks of Doctor Who versus the Borg of Star Trek.
I'm not particularly a fan of Star Trek, so I'm rooting for the Daleks.
Well, after Picard, I don't blame you.
Yeah. But no, I think it would be a great way to introduce I'm not actually a big fan of Doctor Who being like the Doctor himself being in Death Battle, but I would love to see the Daleks. I think that would be really sick. It'd be a cool way to show off how cool and impressive the Daleks are compared to other characters and other species and such in fiction. I think it could be really cool. So yeah, those you limited me to 3, so there's my 3 matchups that I would like to see. I have like dozens, like in my S tier of my list, so I could talk about any of them. Like Dr. Octopus versus Mr. Freeze, Michael Myers versus Jason Voorhees, Amaterasu versus Aang, Beerus versus Jean Grey, Bardock versus Naruto's dad. I forget his name. Like, there's plenty that I would love to see. Skeletor versus Mumra.
The only thing I know about Skeletor is the fact that laugh, who that was the voice I kind of gave Papyrus in my Undertale Let's Play.
That's what everyone gives Papyrus. Oh, I'd love Invader Zim versus Cryptosporidium from Kill All Humans.
Do you know what? With the new game coming out, why not? Why not bring
I-
Crypto in?
Ultron versus Brainiac.
Oh yeah.
Oh, do you know what would be epic for Crypto to be announced for Death Battle? Just as they announced the winner. You've never seen Destroy All Humans?
Oh no, I've never seen Invader Zim.
Oh, okay. But I was going to say, an epic way they could introduce Crypto into Death Battle, like, as they announced the winner, the scream behind Wiz and Boomstick could be interrupted by Crypto singing that song from the trailer for the remake. Can you imagine that?
That'd be fun. That'd be
I can't.
cool.
And he just hypnotizes Wiz and Boomstick to dance. That would be absolutely brilliant.
That'd be pretty funny. Yeah, I'd also like Aizen from Bleach to fight Madara from Naruto. That'd be fun too.
Yeah.
I'd love a battle royale between Krillin, Yamcha, and Tien. I'd love a battle royale of all of the links from all of the Zelda games. I'd love Captain Jack Sparrow to fight Indiana Jones. I'd love the Xenomorphs to fight the Necromorphs. Like, there's so many matchups.
Wow, you have a lot of wanted. I only have 3 characters. I don't even have a matchup. Well, I have a matchup for 1, maybe.
I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 45, 46 in my S tier list alone, and that doesn't even include my A tier. So,
Alright, so maybe we'll save all those for another time, maybe.
I could make a whole video just talking about all the matchups I want to see.
Yeah.
Maybe you should.
Maybe I should. Someday I'll make a video again.
Everyone spam in the comments, Jaru, make your tier list video.
Maybe someday. But yeah, so no, I'd love to see. There's so many matchups I like to see. Funny enough, Ganon versus Dracula was in my S tier too. So, you know, funny how that can go terribly wrong.
Someone's still butthurt.
Yeah, you know. Oh well. Accidents happen.
Accident, you know. So I guess I should say my 3 matches, because we're getting near 2 hours. Oof. So this might be our longest episode recorded, and we're not even discussing anything about any new episodes. So, funny enough, these characters are funny enough from my Let's Plays. The first character I would like to see is Nemesis from Resident Evil 3. Now, I get it, he's only in 1 game, so he doesn't have that many feats, but it turns out there was a Resident Evil manga series, and let's just say Nemesis shows he's not a tool to mess with. So, get this, the G virus, Dr. Birkin, when he was starting to mutate, at some point, him and Nemesis crossed paths, because both Resident Evil 2 and 3 take place simultaneously. And Nemesis and Birkin just decided to have a bit of fisticuff with each other, just fight. And their fight was so powerful, they were causing Raccoon City to have an earthquake, and they somehow created a tornado. They were moving so fast that their dodges and punches were making a tornado. And not like, they're causing dust to fly around. No, the tornado could be seen out of the city. And I'm like, what the fuck?
How the fuck did not kill Jill Valentine? It doesn't make any goddamn sense.
Well, funny enough, her and Carlos were not in the perimeters of that. Because you got to think at this... No, here's actually how it's even more hardcore. You know those corpses of the tyrants in the original Resident Evil 3?
Yeah,
Both Birkin and Nemesis were fighting those at the same time.
of course they were.
They were fighting off 8 tyrants, including a super tyrant, while fighting each other. Like, how hardcore can you be? No, this is still canon to the remake as well, somehow. Somehow it's still canon to the remake. I don't know how it's canon, but it's canon. So while Jill was knocked out, Nemesis just decided, alright, I'm going to quickly go fight Birkin. See you later. Just dragging his broken arm. Oh my god. How did Jill defeat this guy?
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
Now, Okay, before I read the manga, though, there was one character I did kind of want to see fight him, and that was the T-1000 from Terminator. Now, at first glance, it's like, oh, that makes sense. They're both nearly indestructible monsters. The T-1000 won't be able to do shit.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree.
Like, he could punch Nemesis. Nemesis would just look at him like, is that it? Is that it? But I do have an idea how the fight could start. Hold on. Come on. Oh no. The wind's going in the opposite.
Oh no.
Come on.
There's no wind.
No.
Oh no.
Again, I thought the yellow bit was a platform.
Hit the.
Anyway, now, I forgot what I was saying. Yeah, how the fight could start was that the T-1000 arrives, kills a Raccoon City police officer that happens to be Bradford from Stars, simulates him, and then as Nemesis is walking by, sees the T-1000 and just goes to fight him because, oh, he looks like Stars.
Oh, that would be pretty sick.
But of course, though, Nemesis wouldn't really need to transform to win this fight. Let's be real.
I don't know. It's like, how could he actually kill the T-1000?
Rocket launcher or flamethrower. Or just, eat him. Okay, I guess he would have to go to his second transformation then, so, okay, he would have to transform to his second form, at least.
I'd have to do more research into the T-1000 to know, like, what else has proven capable of defeating him.
Okay, do you know what? That's actually fair, because I've only known him through all the movies, so apparently there's a TV show where it arrives in, so maybe it's powerful there.
Yeah.
So, that's Nemesis. I think Nemesis deserves the time in the spotlight.
That'd be cool.
And, you know what, as an honourable mention, why not get Mr. X in there? Get Mr. Xy boy. But now for the second combatant, which, Jaru, I am sorry to say this, but I do want to see Frisk in Death Battle. I know you don't want to see any Undertale character in Death Battle.
If it shows up in Death Battle, it'll be too soon.
Okay, Frisk. Okay, first off, Undertale's amazing, and Frisk is overpowered. The fact that this character could just straight up get killed, but before they die, just straight up go, yeah, how about no, I'm just going to restart my save file. Like, essentially, you could be like Vegeta, vaporize Frisk, and he would just be like, nope, restart, and then dodge that beam again. And you realistically could kill him, so I would love to see, is there a character out there that could match Frisk? Is there someone that could bypass his ability to, just cheat death?
I'm
but
sure someone like, well, my character is Ultimate Super Duper Multiversal Deluxe with a side of fries. Before he went.
There was one matchup which I was actually talking about it with Yang the Insane, because I've mostly been playing the game recently. Cuphead. His new TV show just got announced. You can actually find some footage of it online.
Get a show.
Huh?
Because he just did.
Yeah, he got a show. It's going to be hand drawn as well, and it's going to it's going to be in the style of like old 30s cartoons where it's just them getting up to misadventures.
I mean, that's cool.
And now, okay, now here's the reason though. I don't think this would be a good matchup in a way though, because technically Cuphead can find out how many times he's been defeated, but I'm not sure those clarifies death. So
yeah,
it's more or less he gets kicked out of the area and then
Mario has extra lives. It's like I don't think that's a factor.
Yeah, like if it specifically said, and here's the thing, it doesn't specifically say you died. It says you've been beaten. So if it straight up said, "Oh yeah, you died and we resurrected you," then I'll say, "Okay, that's valid enough."
I mean, their souls kind of float off. I don't know.
Yeah, but you got to think, Crash Bandicoot's soul flies off and he's defeated, but he doesn't die.
Yeah, I guess. Although, isn't the lore like the Mumba Jumba whatever revives him or something?
Udamada.
Yeah, Aku, that's his name.
Aku, the Tiki Mascatron.
Oh my god. Is that a thing?
A thing, an ongoing joke from my friend, yes.
Okay, I was confused.
So Frisk, I would like to see in Death Battle. Maybe fight Cuphead, but until they can find some explanation to his quote unquote deaths, I wouldn't say it'd be an even fight.
No.
Especially when you're.
Because like Frisk can just, he can reset, and that means he has infinite time loops he can abuse. But he also can just be like, nah, I don't want to die, and just you can't kill him, like, So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't want to discuss Undertale in a versus context.
So, my and the third character who I would like to see in Death Battle, which might be a shock to some people, and in fact I'm pretty sure a majority of people watching this won't know who he is, Abe from Oddworld.
Abe, yeah.
So me and my sister used to love the Abe games. We've never completed them though. They are hard.
Yeah.
Even on the sequel, which is getting remastered, and I'm definitely going to play that. Maybe not for my channel, because I'll probably rage a lot. No one wants to see that.
I failed on the first Abe game. I guess I'm a bitch.
Well, here's the thing, though, Jaru. In the second game, you could quick save. So you could save mid-level after you just saved. So if you just saved an Oddworld inhabitant, you could just save, and then as you die, you'll go back to that save point. That was still frustrating, because you had to save triple the amount of creatures from the last one. You had to save 99 in the first one. In this one, you had to save like 299.
Yeah, and it's so hard.
It is difficult, and there are new,
Like
there are new enemies. There are new. Oh my goodness! Although you can make your farts explode.
Great.
Wonderful.
So happy.
I mean, it is useful for solving puzzles.
Yeah.
And some people might say Abe's not really a combatant. That's not technically true. His people are known to being warriors. They're like an alien native tribe in a way. They have bows and arrows. They have some form of hand-to-hand combat. Abe's just really clumsy. And no, I do not want to see Abe versus Jar Jar Binks. I have seen that suggested. I'm like, no, Abe.
Misa kick Abe's ass.
No, Abe fights for his people, and
Misa wanna fight.
I will mute your mic if I have to. No, Abe does not deserve to fight Jar Jar Binks.
I'm gonna request that now.
Don't you dare! Don't you dare!
Wonder Woman versus Jar Jar Binks.
I swear to God, if in the next episode after Beerus one, if it turns out it is Jar Jar versus Abe, I'm not having Richard on the next podcast.
Beerus versus Jar Jar Binks.
Hey, I would like that, because we get to see Jar Jar die.
Beerus would die. And
Dude, yeah. Misa, the Sith Lord.
Oh.
Misa and me do this time, Beerus.
Oh my God.
So anyway, but Abe basically, I can't think of an opponent. If I had to choose a combatant, maybe Ed from Ed, Edd and Eddy. But
Butter toast.
Okay, I'll allow that because Ed is adorable. I guess that could be a fun fight. But I'm pretty sure Ed could defeat Superman and Goku and Saitama if he so wanted to.
Especially if he gets a pebble in his shoe.
Oh God.
They're fucked.
Ed just goes mid-fight. I haven't even reached my maximum potential. Just picks up a pebble, puts it in his shoe, and just puts his shoe back on mid-fight.
I want that fight to start out with Goku with all of them spilling Ed's butter toast, and then he has to fight.
Those are the three people I would like to see. I'm not sure if the matches I think for them are worth it, but I like to see what people think of these characters. So I think that's pretty much all we have to say for this podcast. It's gone on for quite a while.
Yeah, literally.
So people, what do you think about my brain? What do you think of the season of Death Battle so far? What's your favourite episode? Maybe what's your least favourite episode? And what episode's just okay?
What's your favorite episode? Why is it Goro versus Machamp? What's your least favorite? Why is it the fight that I already hated so much I forgot what it was?
Yeah.
And there was an episode I was actually trying to big up as well. But what character would you guys like to see in Death Battle? And leave them in the comments below, and we may look at them and discuss them in the next episode we do. I do kind of have a bad.
Jar Jar Binks.
The next podcast we will do will probably be the last one for a while, because I am going to be Let's Playing The Last of Us Part 2.
Slacker.
Okay, I'm a slacker by Let's Playing.
No, you're a slacker for not multitasking. I'm
Wait,
sorry.
I was cleaning the dishes this morning while also editing Horrortale, which if you haven't guys seen yet, you should definitely watch it. It's Undertale, but it's a horror game.
Good night, everybody.
Farewell.
Bye.